What's more pagan, Christmas or the Kaaba? What are your thoughts?
Well, I've been told by Muslims that this was built by Abraham, even though it's not mentioned in Genesis. So how could it be pagan if it was built by a strict monotheist?
Yeah, it's interesting how Islam got a lot of its beliefs. It's as if Muhammad just took almost everything that was popular around him and rolled it up into a big ball. You've got various elements of Jewish monotheism and Christians, and then you have the various pagan practices. They end up as part of Islam. So it shouldn't be surprising when we check out their Hajj rituals and the Kaaba, and we find this saturated in paganism because the Kaaba was a site of pagan worship. And this isn't according to me, this is according to Muslim sources. The Prophet entered Mecca, and at that time, there were 360 idols around the Kaaba. Why would you want a pagan shrine as your center of worship? Especially when we know that before they started facing the Kaaba for their worship, Muslims would pray facing Jerusalem too, to copy the Jews. Interestingly, Muhammad thought that the Jews were going to accept him as a prophet. They rejected him, and that's when Allah suddenly changed his mind about where Muslims were supposed to face. Allah declared that the Kaaba was built by Abraham and Ishmael. It really seems like Muhammad's just inventing this as he goes along. But what evidence do we have that the Kaaba was built by Abraham and Ishmael?
I am not aware of any evidence, no.
Apart from his word, we have no evidence at all that the Kaaba was ever associated with Abraham and Ishmael. And yet we have Muslims today that take the pilgrimage there. They walk circles around the Kaaba. By the way, do you know why Muslims walk 7 times around the Kaaba? We know why the pagans walked 7 times around the Kaaba. It was to honor the 7 planetary deities. And to honor each of these pagan gods, they walked circles around the Kaaba. That's why they did it. Muslims kept the same practice, but they don't realize where it comes from. So this is as pagan as paganism gets. And when Muslims visit the Kaaba, they do everything they can to kiss the black stone, which is interesting because stone worship was a standard feature in pagan Arabia. What did the pagans worship? A stone. And when they found a better stone, they would replace that stone and worship the new stone. And so they end up with the black stone of Mecca. And there's more. Muslims run between the hills of Safa and Marwa, but we know the pagans ran between these 2 hills as well because they had 2 pagan idols there. So we know, and they knew, that this was a pagan ritual performed by pagans for their idols. What evidence do we have that this had anything to do with Hagar and Ishmael? Absolutely none. So what have we learned here? Christmas, not pagan. Kaaba, 100% pagan.